We're now going to get started with our create meal template. So the first thing we need to do is we need to extend our base. We're then going to add our block title. This is going to be called create meal plan. We'll close off our block. We're then going to open our block content tag. Close that off. So we'll then start by adding a new div with our container class. We're going to create a new div with a class of text center. Within here, we're going to add our heading level 1. We're going to give that a class of padding top 2. The text is choose A, and then we're going to have the meal type, and we're going to make that title case. So underneath there, we're then going to add a paragraph, and we're going to include the meal date. So outside of that div, we're going to now create a form because we're going to want to search whether it's via calories or just with a specific search term. So we'll create a form. We don't actually need an action because we're going to have a method in here and it knows which view we're on. So we'll have a method of get. We'll give it a class, so we want to use our custom form class, and bootstrap classes deflex and flex column and padding 4. So within this form, we'll add our cross-site request forgery token. We'll then add a label. So this label is going to be for the calories. So we'll add our 4 attributes so it knows which input. So we'll call this calories. We'll then add our input. That's going to be of a type number. So we'll give it a class. So we'll have form control and margin bottom 2. We'll give it a name so that the label can be attached and so that we can grab that from the back end. So we'll just call that calories. We're going to add a value, and the value is going to be whatever we type into the field. So this is going to be request.get.calories, and we'll give that a placeholder of max calories. We'll then go and create another label. We'll give that a 4 attribute of search, and this is going to be keyword. We'll then go ahead and we'll copy out the input. This time it's going to be a text field. The name is going to be search. The value will be search. And our placeholder will be, we'll say Asian pie chicken, just to give some examples. And we'll then add a button. So the button will say find random recipe. We'll give this button a type of submit. We'll give it a class of BTN primary, and margin top of 3. So that's now our form. So now we need to create our actual recipe to show up. So once we've hit that search button, what's going to show up? So we'll first check if there's a recipe. Just end that if. We'll create a new div. We'll give this a class of form. We'll create an anchor with a class of recipes. We're going to give it the href of our URL for our recipe detail. And we'll give it the recipe ID. So within here, we're now going to have an image. We're going to give it the source of the recipe.image.url. We're going to remove the alt and we're going to add in a class of card image top. We're then going to create a h2 with a class of text center, and we'll add in here our recipe title. We'll then create a paragraph. So within this paragraph, we're going to do our recipe description. We are also going to add some classes of card text and padding 2. Under here, we're then just going to create our form. So we'll create a new form. So we're not going to add an action yet just because we don't have the back-end view. So we will create a method and we're going to say this one's going to be a post. We'll add in our cross-site request forgery token. And we will create a new div with a class of text center. And within here, we're going to create a button with a class of BTN, BTN primary, and margin 3. So we'll just give this a type equals to submit and select add meal. Okay, so once a recipe has been searched from the original form, it will then display within this div. This is then going to allow us to actually add that recipe. Okay, so we'll come back and we'll update the href for this form action after we create the view.